today's cup of coffee, I'm going to start out with a warning. This does have some very distressing content. And because that it does, I'm doing this one solo because when I first discussed this story with youngest kid, it bothered him, and it bothered him greatly. And so some of the ones that are more dark, I think is what he said. He's like, that is really dark even for us. And I'm like, no, it's really not, because over the years we have explored a lot of really dark subjects, and I have to try to be attentive to the effect that these things are having on him. And right now this one was just beyond his capability, because kids today, I mean, this kid's 23 years old, and we're living in a world today that is distressing for adults, let alone for younger people. And this is an example of this. This comes from Daily Mail and is by ALYSSA GUZMAN, and it was from December the 2nd of 2022. The grandmother of a Milwaukee boy who allegedly shot and killed his mother at close range over a $500 VR headset said he suffers from severe psychiatric illness. And the reason that we have to use the term allegedly is that's just to prevent legal problems. That's why anybody that's reporting this and stuff, because, you know, until charges are placed and somebody is convicted of a crime, they are alleged to have done the crime. And the grandmother said that the 10-year-old boy, who has not been named publicly, hears imaginary voices who tell him to do bad things and has trouble sleeping. She also said he had a hard time understanding emotions and reactions and had exhibited concerning behavior for years, including swinging a puppy by its tail despite the animal's cries of pain at the age of 4. And she said that he hears imaginary people, they're saying imaginary people, including 2 girls, an older woman, and 2 mean men. She said that the 2 little girls in his head tell him to do things, and that the voices are the loudest in the early morning. And the grandmother had told the Daily Beast, quote, he's always said he hears voices. He said that his thoughts and everything starts generating at 5 or 6 in the morning, sometimes 4 o'clock. He has an imaginary friend that will tell him to do really bad things, end quote. The child killed his mother between 6 and 7 a.m. and is said to not have expressed remorse for the slaughter. He was originally released by police, who deemed the killing an accident, after telling them that he was twirling the gun around his finger when it went off. However, a day later, a family member called authorities again to report that the boy had admitted to aiming the weapon at his mother. He has since been arrested and charged with first-degree reckless homicide and is being held in a juvenile facility on a $50,000 bail. He is also being tried as an adult. $50,000 bail is not much at all. So I wondered about that. Wisconsin law requires children as young as 10 to be charged as adults for certain serious crimes, though the boy's attorneys can seek to move the case to juvenile court. The family stated that 6 months before the alleged shooting, the boy had filled a balloon with a flammable liquid and set it on fire, causing an explosion that burned furniture and carpet. When asked why he did it, the boy said, quote, the 2 sisters told him to do it, end quote. The VR headset wasn't the first time the child had used his mother's credit cards and accounts to purchase things for himself. Again, this is a 10-year-old kid. And the mother had set up cameras around the home, but the cameras had been unplugged during the shooting, according to WISN. It is unclear who disabled the cameras. And the aunt contacted police a day after the shooting to say that the boy had told her that he had pointed the gun directly at his mother after retrieving it from the lockbox, which he accessed via a key on her key ring. So this kid knew where the gun safe was. He knew where the key was and how to get it. And in a second interview with police, the boy did admit to standing in a shooting stance and aiming at his mother. He said he tried shooting a wall to scare her when she walked in front of him, and he shot her, the complaint says. And the mother was shot from 3 feet away, which is evident in the way her face stippled, indicating that the gun was fired at the victim at close range, the complaint noted. So it's very questionable whether he was intending to shoot at a wall, because why would he have had the gun at face level had he been, wanting to shoot and just scare her? He told police that he got the gun from the lockbox that morning because his mother woke him up early at 6 a.m. instead of 6:30 a.m. and because she wouldn't let him buy the headset on Amazon. The boy's aunt and his sister also said he never cried or showed remorse and had also physically attacked his 7-year-old cousin the same day. The child had apologized to his grandmother for killing my mom, but she claimed that this was said in an unremorseful tone. In addition, the day after her death, the boy went on his mother's Amazon and purchased the Oculus VR headset before later asking his grandmother where his package was. And it says the boy was expected to appear in court on December the 7th, and that he could face up to 60 years in prison if convicted as an adult. And, I have just hit the high points on this. The link will be in the description box. And this is a very concerning article for many reasons. First of all, that you would have a 10-year-old that could contemplate and do something like this to his own mother. But what concerns me more are the voices that he says that he's hearing. And in today's world, and because I have been in the field of psychology and different things like that, we have totally discounted the realm of spirit. And anybody who even dares think that this child may be possessed, would be laughed out of any kind of professional setting. But because that we have discounted these things, you've got a lot of people that are over-medicated and, imprisoned, different things like that, because that they do have some kind of an unclean and or demonic spirit on them. And that's something I was listening to, another YouTube channel the other day, and the presenter, he always comes off as this pompous ass anyhow, but he was explaining some kind of case that had to do with mental illness or something, and like he was the ultimate authority. And I understand that he was just reporting whatever it was, but as I was listening to it, I'm thinking we have become totally educated idiots, and that any culture, any belief system, any religious institution that would dare talk about the realm of spirit, this is one of the reasons that they have been mocked, ridiculed, totally discounted as being backwoods, as being ignorant, as being primitive. And this is why our society is spiraling out of control, because in most belief systems there is that understanding that there is evil. And so when you tell any of people, oh, do what you will, there's no consequences, well, that is what the Satan says. And the Satan is what it actually, the word is, which means the accuser. And this entity lies, it comes to lie, steal, and kill, and does a damn good job of it. So within this, and the fact that we don't have any kind of balanced information to sit there and go, okay, what are all the possibilities? Could it be a biochemical imbalance? Could it be that you've got a spirit attachment? Could it be any of these other things? We are so lopsided in our ways of thought at this point. Everything's out of balance. Everything. But this was a highly distressing situation. I haven't looked Of course, the media outlet where I first heard the story, most of them are not going to follow through with the story because it's no longer sensationalistic. So I don't know what the outcome of the December 7th ruling was. I might try to look that up. The thought of a 10-year-old kid, and it's not like they throw them out in general population. They're not, because the regular prison system is not going to be set up for a kid like that. So they would this kid would have to be put in a special facility with other kids. I mean, it's not a pleasant place, but what this kid did was not a pleasant thing. And the article did say that they had tried to get therapy for this kid and different things like that. Apparently, it didn't work. And I've seen a lot of times that therapy worked, and I've seen a lot of times that it did not, because that wasn't the problem with the individual. There's a lot of things we need to go back and rethink as far as our society and our belief systems. At what point did Western civilization reject the idea that evil is? At what point did we stop believing in the realm of spirit? You've got a lot of people that use the title of Christian, but they don't talk about these things. You've got a lot of them that don't believe what the Bible says. You know, and so all that is a social club that, you would get more out of listening to Tony Robbins than some of these pastors. And nothing against Tony Robbins. I like the man. He is a motivational speaker. He's a great human being. But as far as him supposedly being somebody that brings scripture to somebody, tells them how to fight in the spiritual battle that we're in, I don't think he does that. Or I'm not aware of it if he does. But when you've got somebody behind a pulpit or something that does less than he does, there's a problem. And now I know that in some of the other faiths, if I'm not mistaken, I think that the Muslim faith very much talks about the jinn and how that they can attack people. And there's other belief systems that do that, but you don't hear about those as much. And again, they get the label a lot of times as being primitive. All right, I think that some of these, we need to go back and re-examine some of these primitive belief systems because our current form of living is not working. So, do I believe this kid has, either some kind of demonic something going on? Yeah, I do. I truly do. And prayers for this family because this was a horrific thing. So, yeah, this is why a kid didn't want to be involved in this one, because it is hardcore. And where there's this is one specific kid, how many others do we have out there? How many other kids do we have that are being attacked by the forces of darkness? I mean, we've got suicide rates that are through the roof. You've got, as far as body images, these children are so unsure themselves, and this includes young adults. They have no direction because they've not, a lot of times, had anybody to teach them a direction. When they see the adults around them, that they have no direction and no purpose either, other than to accumulate things. It's not about things. You don't get to take things with you after you leave this world. So we've got a society and a world it needs prayer, but especially this family. So let me know what you think about this story in the comment section. If you have had experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, I pray to God that you've never had to personally experience some kind of unclean spirit and or demonic spirit, because it's not like Hollywood, folks. And if you have, realize that you are in a spiritual battle and it's a matter of which side are you picking. And learn that there are weapons available to you and how to use them properly to protect yourself and others. Yeah. And, you can comment. And if you want to just send an email, that's fine. That's cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. And the email address will also be in the description box with the link to the article. Like, share, do all that stuff that youngest kid usually says. And know that you're loved. We're in this together, and there's strength in numbers. So we'll see you on the next cup. Bye.